we go. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. On to stage 8, I believe, is where we are. And it's been an unusual Tour de France in that people are staying in the race. We've only had 3 people leave the race. Unfortunately, one of those was one of my more favored riders, the American TJ Van Garderen. Hit a traffic sign, a little warning sign on an island in the middle of a roadway, and managed to break his hand, his thumb in particular. Imagine holding on to a set of handlebars for kilometers on end would be a bit tough in that situation. So his tour is over. But this image will include one of the other Americans, Ben King, who actually was born and raised in my adoptive hometown of Richmond, Virginia. And as I get this laid out, I'll talk to you about why I picked this particular image. So I'm just getting the cyclists laid out first, and then we'll lay in the background. It's usually the way I pick it, and when I'm looking at the images as I'm watching the race, I find something that's going to be visually interesting. It'll have a little dynamic quality to it, or a little bit of the story of the race. Something that is either visually or, what's the word I want, but that tells an interesting story. Dramatic? That'll work. Drama doesn't necessarily mean something bad. But this is Ben King over here, proffering a water bottle to one of the gentlemen in the breakaway. It's actually Nicky Terpstra, who's looking over to go, yeah, no thanks, appreciate it though. So one of the things about a breakaway is, oh yes, they're all on different teams and each intend to be the guy to win the stage. They will be allies, in this case for another 150 some kilometers. And the better off the guys you're riding with are, the stronger they are, more hydrated, more well fed they are, the better chance you all collectively, they all, will have in prevailing all the way to the end of the race. Then for the last kilometers they can go back to being adversaries. It's always interesting to see who's going to be the first one to go on the offensive in a break. Because once that starts, then it's full-on racing and any collaboration is over. But you've got to get to the point where that is worthwhile. So the other thing I've been enjoying about this year's tour is they're starting out very much in the wine country regions. And I do work in that industry as well, not wine in particular, but in the hospitality industry. Everybody needs a day job, right? Or in my case, a night job. This is my day job. So a few fans standing out in the fields. So back to the wine thing. So today they are in the department or the appellation of Beaujolais. Because every early fall where Beaujolais Village or the Nouveau Beaujolais come out. But they've been making a point to talk about all the wines from all the regions that they've been riding in. And I go in and talk about that with the sommelier that I work with. He's gone on vacation now, so I guess can't talk about that anymore. So just getting the last of the cycling fans into the image. They're standing out by their caravan, camper. I've seen very little roadway this tour that doesn't have people standing along the side of the road. In some places you can't even see the side of the road for all the people. And of course, those crowds get heavier and heavier when they get onto the climbs, particularly the big mountain climbs. It just gets insane when they get to the alpine climbs. And unfortunately, there have been some times when that crowd insanity has affected the race. So, all along with this image, I had already sort of decided on the title, which is Southern Hospitality, being as Ben, who is offering the water bottle, is a good Southerner. Not to say that other regions aren't hospitable as well. So as always, starting with the yellow and then moving to the flesh tones. So this breakaway is made of Ben King, who I just put the color into. On the front, the ever-present Thomas de Kent. Seems to have two functions, being in a break or chasing them down. That's what he does for his team. A little ironic that he either is out there hope against hope situation or dashing the hopes of others. I guess I could put that in the take one to know one. Or in his case, takes one to disappoint one. So now into the oranges of the CCC rider, Alessandro De Marchi. He was the last to come out of the peloton and try to chase this down. Or at the very least, the last to succeed in that endeavor. A whole lot of strategy that goes into getting the early breaks set up. Who's going to be allowed to go? Which teams want to be there? Which teams are going to let what teams be there? So this one seemed to get together a little better than they have a couple of other days in this race, this tour. But it almost always goes, and it almost always gets caught. But there are those occasions when it doesn't, and then the riders who didn't try. But that's Jens Voigt, longtime racer for the tour, 17 or 18 total appearances. It's like if you don't get in the race, if you don't get in the break, then you're definitely not going to win. So you get a 0% chance of winning if you don't, and a 5% chance of winning the stage if you do. So His theory was always, so why aren't you in the break? So now moving into the cool colors, starting with this slightly dirty blue, it's kind of a steel gray almost, which was just so I didn't get all the red off of my brush when I went for the bright blue. That's what I got. But happy accident. So this is Terpstra, who's changed teams this year to go over and write for Total Energy. And then on to Ben King. He rides for the South African team. Dimension Data. And one of the things Dimension Data does, they have this little black hand on the back of their jerseys, and that is to represent they work with Quebeca, who help to provide bikes, particularly to rural African families, which can greatly change their lives, allowing them to be able to get to market, to get to school, to ride their bikes to get water, can really expand their lives, expand their opportunities just with the bicycle. I would argue that's the case for everyone. But your life is so much better when you have a bike and use it. They don't do a lot of good if they just hang out in your garage. So getting the foliage in the background. So with oil painting, you will frequently, most will lay in their work back to front, as it were. Start with the background and work forward, which is a great idea when you can cover up your previous layer of paint. So as you're lay in the background, then as you paint the figures in front, you can overlay some of the background, get a much more attractive intersection of color, shape, etc. that way. Details can be shown a little more easily because you're layering the edge of the foreground object over the background, so you get a more controlled edge. But with watercolors, because you can't lay your background, you can't paint anything over anything basically, because it's a translucent media. You can see through all of it. So I tend to go the other direction, doing the foreground first and then the background. Now right now I am sort of painting over other areas, but that's because I'm going light to dark. So I can paint some of my dark color back over lighter colors and getting a little texture and interest that way. So just darkening up the screen foliage, giving it a little more dimension. Now I'll build that black again. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry mouth here. There's the dark against dark black shorts in here. Might be able to see the water bottle a little more easily. More intense black now, so just more pigment, less color, and that's one of the little fun things, trying to learn that balance. If you want a more intense color, you need to do less pigment. Shh, little dog whining at me. You need to do less pigment, or more pigment, less water. And of course, if you want a more translucent color, you do it the other way around. But when you're doing that more pigment, less water, you do have troubles at times with being able to move the color. Because part of this is about floating the pigment on the water. Just getting some of the shadows in now. The motorcycle up the road, the cyclist. And then, most frequently for me, the final step, the road surface. And again, see, the white of his jersey will be more obvious once I lay that roadway in. Because again, you're not adding white to anything. It's a translucent media, so you're letting the white of the paper be what normally in opaque painting would be added white. So it takes a little forethought too. So like his white glove, I had to remind myself not to paint his hand or the water bottle. And then I'm noticing bib numbers. Yeah, we're going to do the bib numbers first, and then I got to come back and do that hand. So all the bib numbers, unless they are the yellow ones of the team leaders, or the red ones are the most combative. The bar across the top is a bright yellow, sort of the color of the tour, certainly the color of the leader's jersey. The bar across the bottom is a blue. I think he needs a blue t-shirt. There. Doesn't that look better? And then I need to put that black hand that I talked about in. Missed that when I had my dark brush. And notice how I did those lighter two things first before doing the dark. Alright, so that's the end of this painting. I haven't done the, please be sure to, well, if you like what you see, please be sure to indicate that with a thumbs up. If you like what you're seeing and want to see more, please subscribe. And check out all of this artwork on the blog, theartofcycling.blogspot.com. And that will link you through, should you want to purchase one of the paintings, link you through to my website at gregleach.com. And I'll have all those in the description. So thanks for taking the time to look today.